Hi malt friends, this is Catherine. I am out on the Jackson Trail doing some routine trail maintenance, and I thought it might be nice to show you what daily or weekly trail maintenance looks like, so that when you're all out on the trails in this time of outdoor emphasis, you can do some trail maintenance of your own and maybe let us know if there's anything that we should take a look at. So the two things I make sure I always bring with me is a hammer and a handsaw. Hammers we usually use for hitting in nails of trees that hold the tam signs, because they tend to pop them out over time. And a handsaw is for cutting any branches that go across the trail. And if you don't have either of these, that's totally fine. You can still do most of this work without these tools. So the main thing that I look for initially when going on a trail is seeing if there are any big trees down. And you'll kind of know it's a big tree down because you're going right on the trail and then there's something in the way. So the one that I found on this trail is something that is right here. So normally when you walk through this trail, you go through and you see, oh, so that looks like it's in eyesight in the way. So now I look up and I see, there's this big tree that fell that wasn't here before. So even if you don't ever go on these trails or usually on these trails, you can generally tell by seeing something like this that looks out of place. So what I'm going to do is try and move this. I think I can, it looks like I can just push it off in this case. But if it feels at all unsafe or anything like that, I'm just gonna leave it and maybe see if that we can deal with that with a chainsaw later. So of course, when you're doing trail maintenance, safety always first. If you ever don't feel comfortable with something, please don't do it. You can just email us at info@maltvt.org and we'll be happy to take care of it with our higher professional grade tools. All right, I was able to successfully move this tree off of the little trees here. So now what I'm going to do next is I've kind of created a problem, as you can see, with this tree being in the middle of the trail. So I'm going to try and take it and drag it over here, because this looks like a good clear empty spot that I can use. And I also found that when this tree fell, it kind of crushed and snapped two trees over here. So I'm going to try and use the handsaw to cut those, and then that should get rid of all the branches in the trail. Alright, so I was able to move the tree up in here, and you can see, wow, look at the nice clear trail. And now I cut those two, not very well, but they're out of the way, and I put them in the forest. So now, after just a few little cuts and a very careful move of the tree, we have a clear trail. One frequent comment we get from people a lot is letting us know about wet spots or muddy spots. And 99.99% of the time, we already know about these, just because they're annual occurrences that happen in that landscape, whether we like it or not. So the main thing we can do in this case is really just walk around it if you'd like, or go through it. At some point in the year, we have planned to do certain trail work, like here on the Jackson Trail. There's lots of these hills nearby, and they are covered in shale, which is a nice thin rock that you can put down, and it repels water really well. So we'll walk by some sections later that I'll show you. And so that's how we deal with it here. In other trails, we deal with it with gravel. But either way, you don't have to do anything in this case. It's all planned, and it will be taken care of at some point. So here is some of that famous Jackson shale, and I will show you some shale work I did earlier this fall. So I just did this beginning part here. You can see it held up for a little bit, but then of course we have this really big muddy spot. So things like these are things that if you'd like to, you can put down a couple rocks of shale, but we'll take care of it later, so don't need to worry about these. So here's a case where having a hammer is handy. One of our nice tam signs has fallen down, or the post it's on has fallen down. So I'm just going to attach it to one of these nearby buckthorns so people know where they're going. Here's another spot where we did some pretty intense shale work and gravel work with some college students in the November and December. So if you ever see things like buckets, wheelbarrows, any sort of wood, tools along the trail, you can almost 100% bet it's us. Another great thing about trail work is that you get to make little friends. Like this tiny little chipmunk that's running around. So nice. Here he is. It's my little friend. You want to help do some trail work, chipmunk? Single most important thing we do on the trail and you can do on the trail is just picking up sticks in the way. Lots of trees around, they fall all the time, and they can go up and whack a runner or biker if they're going by. So that's a really important thing you can do, anyone can do without any tools at all. Another thing you can look for in the trail, and especially let us know about, is things that just don't look right. So you can see there's all this cribbing along the side to hold up this pretty steep slope, and keeps going all the way through, looks good. You can kick it and it doesn't move. This one looks good. And then I come to this one. You can see that that one is shifting around quite a bit. And so the metal bar is still here. But I looked over here, and no metal bar. I don't know where it went. So I don't have a big metal rod with me. They look like this. So I am going to make a note of this, that we should come back and fix this before it washes away in the storm. Another thing I do on Jackson Trail is check on these stairs. They have these rods holding them in, and as you can see, they're at a dangerously tall height. So, let me switch my hands. All I gotta do in this case is hammer them in. An important part of this trail and trails with boardwalks is making sure that the downstream part right here doesn't get too choked up with debris. You can see here it's a little bit choked up, but I don't think that'll cause too much of an issue, because if anything washes down, it'll come more over here. We just want to make sure it's clear so that if there's a really big storm, like the one on Halloween, things don't just rush out and take out the boardwalk. So it looks good for now. Thanks so much for joining me on my day of doing trail work. If you have any questions about our routine trail maintenance, you can let us know at info@maltvt.org. We'd be super happy to answer anything. And if you haven't been to the Jackson Trail yet, you should check it out. This is one of my favorite trails because it's so interesting and secluded, and it's just a lot different than most of the typical malt trails. So check it out, let me know what you think, and thanks for tuning in.